Today I want to talk about something that honestly just will not go away, and I'm not going to let it go away because I'm almost at the end of my entire playthrough of Days Gone Remastered, and now that I've experienced the game myself, reporting on the fact that we have not gotten Days Gone 2 is just criminal. It really, really is. Every few months it pops back up. Rumors start flying, people get excited again, then nothing happens. So today we're going to sit down and break this thing down the way it actually is, not the way that we want it to be. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy, your Chaos. I read every single comment on every single video, and we are going to go deep into Days Gone 2. Is it going to happen? Is it already being made and they're not talking about it? Or is it just a pipe dream? We've got leaks, rumors, new updates, everything. So stick around, and if you strip everything back and you look at the real confirmed information, it's pretty clear. There is no solid evidence that Days Gone 2 is in development right now. Not secretly, not behind the scenes, not they're hiding it for a big reveal. The timeline doesn't support that at all. What actually happened is the sequel was pitched. It got rejected, and then Ben Studio was moved on to something completely different. That's not speculation. That was straight from official statements, incredible reporting. And once you see the timeline play out, it starts to make sense why we're still here years later without a sequel for Deke and Boozer and Sarah and all of them. Ben didn't just pivot once, they pivoted multiple times. First, they were taken off Days Gone and told to work on a new IP. Then they shifted toward a live service project. We love live service projects. Then that project got canceled. Then layoffs happened. And now they're basically rebuilding and working on another new project. That's not the path of a studio quietly finishing a sequel. That's a studio trying to figure out what its next move is for survival. Now, that does not mean that Sony just hates Days Gone or think it failed completely. That narrative is a little overblown if you ask me. The game actually sold really well over time, and the fact that it got its PS5 remastered tells us all there's value in the IP. They don't remaster things they think are completely dead. They just don't. There was even talk about a movie adaptation at one point, which again shows the brand has life, and I would love to see a movie. This world is amazing. It's fleshed out. The characters you attach to them, it is deep. Yeah, I said it before on my playthrough, and if you guys want to check out that playthrough, it's over on Chaos Let's Play. I'll put a link in the description if you want to come over there. And I said that very few games make you feel like the game resets. Like you're going through the game for 8-10 hours and then all of a sudden it feels like it's a reset and you're on another level and it's a whole new world and a whole new part of the game. It's like basically version 2. This one does it multiple times throughout the game, which is pretty rare, pretty special. Now, here's where reality hits us. From Sony's perspective, Days Gone is one of those games that did okay. Built a passionate fan base, myself included, but didn't hit that elite tier where a sequel is an automatic green light. I know a lot of you would argue me in the comments. Not argue me, but argue the fact that, well, they've put out some real stinkers they spent $250 million on that weren't good anyway, so why not do something that has a real legit chance? And I'm with you. I mean, when you're talking AAA budgets, it does matter. The games cost a lot of money. If leadership isn't completely sold on the upside, they're going to move resources somewhere else. That's exactly what happened here. And then I go back to the whole Concord situation. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, right? Honestly, when you listen to the former developers talk about it, you can tell there was something there. The sequel wasn't an idea on a napkin. They had plans. They were talking about expanding the world, continuing Deacon and Sarah's story, adding co-op elements, pushing the whole Nero storyline way further. This wasn't just more Days Gone. It was supposed to evolve into something bigger, which makes it even more frustrating and pisses me off when you think about how the first game ended, because let's be real, the ending was not subtle. It was a full-on setup for a sequel. I'm going to spoil it here, guys, so please, 1, 2, 3. This is a major spoiler if you have not played Days Gone, so click off. Deacon finds Sarah. You think things are wrapping up, and then you get hit with the O'Brien reveal, and suddenly the entire world changes. Intelligent freakers, Nero hiding something bigger. It's not just a tease. There was a direction. We're going somewhere with this, and that's honestly the biggest reason people haven't let go. Doesn't feel like a finished story. Feels like something that cut off right when it was getting really interesting. So if a sequel did happen, it's pretty easy to see where it would go. You would lean into that Nero angle. You make the infected smarter, more dangerous, more organized. You turn the world into something that's not just survival anymore against mindless hordes or freaks, but it's evolving, something that's adapting. And at the center of that, you've got Deacon and Sarah trying to figure out where they fit in a world that's changing again. And that's kind of the part that hurts the most, because creatively, there's a really good game sitting there. There's a really good story to tell. You can see it. But when you come back to reality again, and the reality is Ben Studio is not working on that game right now. They're working on something else entirely, and after everything that's happened, canceled projects, layoffs, restructuring, it's hard to imagine Sony suddenly turning around and saying, yeah, let's put all our chips into Days Gone 2. Could it happen someday? Yes. I don't think the door is completely closed. The IP has value. The fan base is there. We've seen Sony bring back things before when the timing makes sense to them. But if we're all being honest here with each other, which we need to be, this is not something that's right around the corner. If it ever happens at all, it's going to be years down the line. Probably going to come with actually, it would probably come from a shift in strategy. Yeah, not because it's secretly been in developed the entire time. The roadmaps will have to change. They'd have these big meetings, say, you know what, let's go visit these games that we did a long time ago, and they did good, and then they got better over time, and they built a fandom, and they would see Days Gone and realize that there is a huge fan base for it, and be like, okay, you know what, let's go revisit this. We did a remaster for it. I mean, it's got legs. We talked about doing a movie for it. Heck, we could greenlight $200 million and go Days Gone 2. And I know a lot of you just, it's salt in the wound. You get games like Concord or other games that Sony puts out that are just completely out of left field. Some of them don't even last, they don't even last 2 months. And the budgets are $200 or $300 million. But you have a game that has a great story, a world, an immersive world built around it. We're attached to these characters. If you played it, you know what I mean. But you can't give us part 2? That makes no sense. But then again, we're not the suits. We're not the ones that are just worried about the shareholders that probably have zero connection to gaming at all, probably don't play video games at all, don't understand anything about it. They are pencil pushers, and all they do is look at charts and graphs. And they're trying to make the most money for their shareholders they can, even if they're ill-advised and directed the wrong way. That's not an excuse. I'm just telling you the reality, right? That's the reality. I mean, where does that leave you and me? Well, it leaves us in a weird spot. Days Gone is both alive and not moving forward at the same time. The story clearly had more to tell. The fans clearly want it, but the studio and the business side, they just not have lined up in a way that makes that happen. And until any of that changes, this is probably going to keep being one of those what could have been situations that we're all going to keep revisiting every couple months until we just get so far down the road. If it doesn't happen, we're just going to look back at it in nostalgic lenses and say, what could have been? We do it with movies all the time. We do it with video games, and it's sad. It really, really is sad that they can't see the writing on the wall, but that's where we're at. So I'm curious, where do you guys stand on this? Is it a big deal to you? Do you think this thing will eventually come back, or is this one of those franchises that really never gets its second shot? Have you played Days Gone? If you have you played all the way through the story? And if you have, we'll just say now, the comments is going to be spoilery. So I want to know your thoughts. I want to know what you think about, like I said, each level. We start off at the top, and then we get locked down in the bottom. We lose everything. We have to come back. It was crazy. It was a crazy ride. It was one of those games where you did not want it to end. The last time I felt that way was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That's one of my favorite games of all time, whether you like it or not. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I got more sad the closer I got to the end because I knew that all those firsts for me were about to be over. Let me know what you think.